Trevor, how are you this fine Monday morning?
I am great. We got the Army-Navy game in. We got the Heisman Trophy locked up, and now we're moving forward into the bowls. It's fantastic.
Let's start with the Heisman Trophy conversation. Jeremy and I were just talking about Travis Hunter and the excitement of BYU being able to play against now the current Heisman Trophy winner. But most importantly, do you feel like the selection committee got it right naming Travis Hunter the Heisman Trophy winner?
Spencer, I think they did. I think Ashton Jeanty had a historic season as a running back for Boise State, but we've seen great seasons from running backs. We've seen great seasons from quarterbacks. But what we haven't seen in really not just recent memory, but almost any memory is what Travis Hunter did. As a full-time defensive back, full-time wide receiver, he was a legitimate shutdown corner. And he was one of the top receivers in the nation with 92 catches. And so you put those two things together, you've got to go back to who? Jim Thorpe, to find somebody that's been that dominant on both sides of the ball. And you just can't ignore that because we know that Jeanty deserved the Heisman. But this was a historic first in modern times to see a guy be that dominant over the course of full-time snaps on both sides of the ball. And to me, the travesty would have been had they not given it to Travis Hunter.
Bigger challenge, and how does it affect BYU's preparation? Travis Hunter, the receiver or the cornerback?
I think receiver, because he is who's going to cover him. I mean, he's outstanding individually, and even when he's covered at 6'1", 185, he's very long. He's got a great catch radius, and he reaches around corners. He reaches up and over corners to make catches, and as he does it, it reminds you that he himself is a dominant cover corner, and that's important because he knows what messes with opposing defenders. He knows as a receiver what to do to get inside their head, to recognize their techniques and use their techniques and their assignments against them. As a receiver, he's extraordinarily difficult to stop because he knows exactly what you're trying to do to stop him because he's better at it than you are. And so that's the hard part. I think as a receiver is where he is the most dangerous.
Trevor, how does Travis Hunter now being the Heisman Trophy winner impact BYU's bowl game and the buildup and the national notoriety around it? Because we already felt like it was a huge deal and the spotlight was already on Colorado. So does it make that much of a difference? If so, how do you see it?
In my opinion, this is without question the most intriguing non-playoff bowl. Absolutely. And it's because of these two teams. These two teams had great seasons. They both tied for first place in the regular season for the Big 12 lead, and they didn't make the championship game because of tiebreakers. And you put that together with the fact that nobody expected either team to be where they are. And then you add to it the star power that the Heisman Trophy winner brings. The Heisman Trophy winners don't typically play in bowl games that are not playoff games. And so the fact that he's playing Shedeur Sanders, quarterback for Colorado, is likely to be the first quarterback taken, and he's playing in this game. So all the star power on the Colorado side is going to draw a lot of eyeballs. Now, does BYU deserve those eyeballs too for their stars? Jake Retzloff has had a fantastic season. You've got all kinds of players on BYU's team that are worth tuning into the bowl game to watch if you're just a casual fan. But those casual fans are going to really be fired up to watch the Heisman Trophy winner play in a non-playoff bowl game. And so that's going to be really exciting. It raises the profile, and it gives BYU a great opportunity if they're able to win this game and say, yeah, we beat the first quarterback taken in the draft and the Heisman Trophy winner on the same team in the bowl game. That would be a feather in their cap. Now, they still have to do it. It would be an amazing, really difficult quality win if they're able to get it, but the potential is there for this to be an absolute tremendous game for BYU.
Lots of news over the weekend regarding the transfer portal and the timing thereof. Marshall has to bow out of a game, their bowl game, because the coach leaves and 25 guys go in the portal, so Louisiana Tech has to replace him. The Penn State backup quarterback jumps into the portal, says the timing's unfortunate. What's the fix here for this? Because certainly the timing is a little awkward with the playoff.
It is awkward. When you talk about Bo Pribula, the backup quarterback for Penn State, you know, his team's in the playoff. Preston Stone, the backup quarterback for SMU, in the playoff, although Preston Stone has, as of now, said that he is entering the portal, but he will stay with his team through the playoffs. So that option is still there. But the problem you have with the portal and the timing is the start of the winter semester coming up. If you push it back too far, then guys that are playing into the postseason, really anybody, if you push it back too far, might not be able to start school on time in those schools that they want to go to. So these schedules, these calendars are real problems. But putting it now puts these players in a really difficult position. It puts coaches in an impossible position because now coaches are recruiting in the portal. They're recruiting their own guys. They're not focused as much as they could be on the bowl games and on the playoff, et cetera. And you put all that together, there's just too much to be able to do any one thing right. But I don't see a solution, because the only solution is pushing it back. And if you push it back too far, you're squeezing players' opportunity to get in the portal, decide where they want to go, and then go there. You make them be de facto in the portal, which they're not supposed to do, but have them be having their agent or representative asking around, looking where there are possibilities and where they might be able to go before the portal ever happens. And that's a distraction to them. And so I don't know what you do. To me, you err on the side of what's best for the student athlete. And what's best for the student athlete is to make it earlier, put the pressure on the coaches, give the students a chance to be able to see where they want to go, have time to be able to let that filter down into where all the different people might go, and then give them a chance to enter the winter semester on time. Other than that, I don't think there's any way that you can fix this thing.
Wow. It's a truthful answer. There is no easy fix right now. And so interesting to watch how the NCAA will navigate this in the years forthcoming. Trevor Matich of ESPN is with us on BYU Sports Nation. Let's stay with the portal conversation, but focus it in on BYU. As you look at the roster and how it is shaping up next year for the Cougars as they look to replicate what has been an absolutely special season, where do you feel like the biggest needs are position-wise for BYU?
BYU needs to think like SMU did coming into the ACC. SMU knew that going from Group of Five into the Power Five, they would need to bulk up their size strength. Excuse me. SMU knew they would need to bulk up their size, strength, and depth on the line of scrimmage on both sides. And they did. They brought in a whole bunch of offensive linemen, some defensive linemen, and it's one of the reasons they were able to get to the ACC championship game and make the playoff. BYU is losing a whole bunch of big guys that can run, who played a lot of great football for them on the offensive line and the defensive line. And so it's not just a matter of bringing in a few guys. It's a matter of bringing in enough guys that you've got competition at all the positions across each offensive and defensive line, so that competition brings the best out in everybody. And so they've got work to do to rebuild both lines. And I think that's a really important thing. And to go back to fixing the portal, one thing that I think would help is and this I think will come, if you're able to sign players to multi-year contracts. In other words, somebody comes in and you're going to give them a certain amount of NIL, and you say, okay, we'll give you this much if you sign for 1 year. We'll give you this much if you'll sign for 3 years. We'll guarantee this and this and this, but you have to guarantee for us. That means there's fewer guys available in the portal at the highest levels. And so I think that might be something that would work. But right now, BYU doesn't have that opportunity to do that, because it's not collectively bargained. They'd have to get it voluntarily from the guys that are coming in. And so I'm not sure exactly how that would work, but it's one of those things that will shake out in the years to come.
Okay, the playoff begins this weekend. Weird that BYU won't play a bowl game before the playoff games. I don't know. This is exciting. It's all fun. It's all great. We wish BYU was in the playoffs. So let's walk through the playoff games, and you give us who you think is going to advance this weekend. Indiana at Notre Dame.
I think Notre Dame advances. I think Notre Dame running game has been dominant this year, which is a bit of a surprise. Coming into the season, Notre Dame had a brand new offensive line, essentially. They had 6 combined starts among their 5 offensive linemen, and they've developed into one of the best run-blocking offensive lines and pass-blocking in the nation. I think that's how to beat Indiana, because Indiana's passing attack is fantastic. The only game that it really stalled was Ohio State, but that was because there was noise at Ohio State. They went to the silent count. They didn't handle it very well, and quarterback Curtis Work wasn't able to have time to work. It's not just under pressure. He's good under pressure. It's that he was just smothered all the time. And so even though I expect Indiana to have that part resolved and perform better against the noise that they'll find at Notre Dame, I think ultimately it'll come down to Notre Dame pounding the football, and I think power will win this game.
SMU, BYU's best win at Penn State.
I think this is the place with the most likely upset because the most dynamic playmaker on either side of the ball is SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings. He has been a revelation as a passer. When he took over during the BYU game as the starting quarterback, we knew he could run the ball. But if you look at the last 9 games of the season, including the ACC championship game, he averaged almost 300 yards per game as a passer. And for some of those games, he didn't run the ball much at all. And I think the fact that he can run around and make those plays, especially off schedule, will give Penn State's defense fits. And keep this in mind, that the narrative on Penn State is that they struggle against highly ranked teams. And remember that they lost against Ohio State at home earlier in the season. If SMU can jump out on them early, you will take some of the air out of the sails of that crowd, and it will be a whiteout at Penn State. And so I think that SMU has the best chance to get an upset, and I think they do.
Clemson at Texas.
This is a tough game to call. I think Texas is not well suited to go far into the playoffs, but I think they're going to beat Clemson. The reason that they're not suited to go far into the playoffs is because of the nature of their passing attack. In the SEC, there are 18 quarterbacks this year with 100 or more pass attempts. Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback, is last, 18th in air yards per attempt, which means how far the ball travels down the field before it gets to the intended receiver. This is very much a short passing game, and Georgia beat them twice by coming up and matching up right from the line of scrimmage a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, with those short routes. There was nowhere to throw the ball quickly for Quinn Ewers, and then they combined for 13 sacks in the Georgia 2 wins over Texas. And it was because he had to hold the ball longer than he wanted to. This is the problem for Texas. Clemson's defense is not as talented as Georgia's, but they can do a lot of the same things that Georgia did. I think Texas is good enough to get past them. I think they'll do it mostly with the running game and a stout defense. But going forward, I think Texas might struggle more than people think.
And last but not least, Tennessee at Ohio State.
This is fascinating. And the big picture on this is that Ohio State just lost to Michigan for the 4th year in a row. And Michigan had 5 wins on the season and no offense to be found anywhere. And yet they went to Columbus and beat Ohio State and then planted their flag on the O at midfield in Columbus. It was a big mess afterwards, but Michigan rubbed Ohio State's nose in it. So the heat's on the Buckeyes. And if they don't win a national championship, or at least get to the national championship game, this will be the ugliest 365 days in recent memory in Columbus, Ohio. But here comes Tennessee, that is an outstanding running team. They are known as a great downfield passing attack. And during non-conference games early in the season, they were. But during SEC play, they actually ran it twice as much as they threw it, because they just weren't that dynamic throwing the ball against SEC defenses. Well, this Ohio State defense, one of the best in the nation. I think this will be low scoring. I think it'll be ugly, but I think that Ohio State is going to pull this out.
Trevor, great stuff. I can't help but focus on that SMU at Penn State game, and then remember that James Franklin is 1-15 against top 10 teams as an FBS coach, 1-12 against Penn State. If he loses at home to SMU, Happy Valley will be a very unhappy valley. I don't know how you recover from something like that if he loses at home.
This is Happy Valley. We're the Happy Valley, Trevor.
Right, exactly. Get your happy Valley. Excuse me, get me all joked up. Get your Happy Valley straight. That's what you need to know. Understand your Happy Valleys.
Well said. Trevor, always great insight. We appreciate the time. Cannot wait to watch the college football playoff games. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.